This is Polyamory Weekly, episode 586 for January 12th, 2020. Coming up on today's show, Feast and Famine, when you have more partners than your partner. Hello, everyone. I am here with my co-host, Lustyguy.
Happy to be here as always, and in this case, particularly lucky to be here because we are
in Hawaii.
Specifically on the Big Island in Kona, chilling by the pool.
Which is why you may hear some background noise. I probably should have recorded inside, but it's such a nice night. So if you hear splashing, it's because we're by the pool. If you hear sirens, it's because we're in downtown Kona. Oh, I forgot to say, this is an adult show about really lascivious things like honesty and communication about sex and relationships. If you're under 18, please stop listening and visit scarletteen.com.
I wish you could have seen her shrugging her shoulders while she gave that line. It was hilarious. You can tell this woman's been watching Marvelous Miss Maisel. I expected an oive at the end of it.
What?
Your rhythm was totally Marvelous Miss Maisel on that.
Ooh, it was? I'm going to take that as a compliment. Cool. In our host chat section, I thought it would be a fun time to look over our stats for 2019 and see what our most popular episodes were.
In other words, yeah, we're going to whip it out right now.
Just pardon me while I whip out these stats. You know, with podcasters, it's considered rude to bring out your stats, to talk about how many downloads you have, but we have some pretty awesome downloads. I mean, I don't want to brag. I'm just saying we got some pretty good downloads.
Which means we have a really good audience. Thank you all very much. Glad that you're in our corner.
So what I wanted to know was, what are your favorite shows? So I looked to see which of our shows were downloaded the most in 2019. And here's what I learned. You really fucking love Dr. Liz Powell.
Well, who doesn't? I mean, come on.
It's so true. That was our top downloaded show by a pretty wide margin. I mean, it wasn't even that close.
No, by nearly 20%, in fact. Something in that range. Yeah, it's a big number.
So lesson for us is we want a spike in downloads. We bring Dr. Liz back on.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, be looking for an email here pretty soon, Doc Liz.
That was episode 569, by the way. The next most popular was episode 572, which is When Your Partner's Jealousy Precludes Your Polyamory, from back in April. And that tells me that anytime we put jealousy in the title, we're going to get a lot of downloads.
Yeah, although again, now the difference between this one and the one below it is nowhere near as stark as the difference between the Dr. Liz episode and the jealousy episode. That's head and shoulders. This one's just kind of knife edge.
That's head and shoulders. This is what, shoulders and boobs? Well, shoulders and chest hair.
Maybe just a couple pubic hairs different.
The next one, I was pleased to say, number 3, was a framework for consent. So I am really proud of you listeners for downloading something that has to do with consent, which isn't always the sexiest topic, although I do consider consent very sexy.
Oh, I think consent is very sexy. I think it's a hot topic right now. And again, it reflects well on our listeners that y'all are interested in hearing about it. Well done.
And then down to number 4, will poly help emotionally unavailable partners? Maybe that's a common problem.
You think? You know, I actually found it really interesting that half of our top 4 episodes, and I believe this continues to trend below just the top 4, are simply relationship answering advice episodes where people wrote in questions and we answered them. I think it shows to you that really you guys got the most interesting things to talk about.
It's true. And a big thank you to everybody who takes the time to write in and share your personal issues with us. And also for those who write in and don't ever get a response, which is most of you, we really appreciate the trust that you put in us, even when we can't respond on the show. And our all-time downloads, just to give a nice big ass number. You know how many all-time downloads we have? You made for us 7.3 million. You guys rock. Sorry. You folks rock. Love every single one of you. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for telling your friends.
I feel kind of like we're, McDonald's in the early stage. 7.3 million served.
I'm not putting that on my golden arch.
I got something put on your golden arch.
We did that this morning.
Yeah, it's like over 10 minutes ago. Hello.
If you have questions, comments, or feedback, please call 802-505-POLY or email polyweekly@gmail.com and attach an MP3 file with your questions. To book us or for anything that involves a calendar, please email lustyguy@polyweekly.com. Our topic this week is from Oliver, who's in his first non-monogamous relationship with S. She had said she wouldn't date him if he were monogamous, so he decided to give it a try. He writes, while I've been having this one really meaningful and loving relationship with T, besides S, his partner, S has had sex with several different people. Now, S has started to question if she really wants to continue non-monogamy, since it hasn't really played out the way she wanted it to. She's unhappy with the way everything turned out and would rather have other meaningful relationships than, in her words, meaningless sex with strangers. She's frustrated that I have other partners while she ended up alone, although non-monogamy was her suggestion in the beginning. Has any one of you ever come across a situation where you've been frustrated with non-monogamy? No. Never happens. How can you manage a situation where one partner has other partners while the other one doesn't? Since we, S and I, agreed on being primary partners in our relationship set up in the beginning, S has used T against me several times, and I'm afraid now that she'll want me to end the thing with T. That wouldn't be an option for me. The last year showed me just how much I can learn from having different close relationships in my life. I found non-monogamy to be ideal for my personal growth and don't want to give up on that. On the other hand, I really want to support S with her problems. Any advice? I'm going to hand it over to Lustyguy, make you do the work.
Look at that. I get to go first. Well, so here's the thing, Oliver. Actually, I think you're asking a whole lot of questions in there that seem like they're questions, but aren't actually really questions. So let's pick it apart and start off with the first one, which is, have any one of you ever been in a situation where you've been frustrated with non-monogamy? And now I know Minx laughs because everybody's going to say, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, as a matter of fact, I never have been in a situation where I've been frustrated with non-monogamy. And I think if you think about the situation this way, it'll start to make some sense. At the end of a monogamous relationship, have you had ever heard anybody go, wow, I'm really frustrated with monogamy right now because of the way that turned out? That relationship was awful and it's got to be the relationship style that was the cause. No, it was the people that were the cause, generally speaking, not the relationship style. So I think if we go through and take a look at each of your questions and actually try to give them an answer, what we're going to find is that for all that they seem to work at the first pass and it seems like they're questions that lead you somewhere, they're actually not. They're not. They're actually starting from a place that gives you an incorrect perspective. So let's see what Minx thinks about that first question.
Yeah, I agree that it's the relationship. It's this particular relationship and the people and emotions in it that are causing some challenges. Now, I know it's really easy to point to the non-monogamy because it's a new thing that you're trying and there are more people involved and you don't know exactly what you're doing because you're new to it. But oddly enough, I think Lustyguy's right.
It must hurt to say that, I know.
It doesn't hurt at all. Feels good. Feels good.
Or it hurts good, you little masochist, you.
It does. Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, you're questioning your relationship, but I'm not sure that questioning the poly is really the right thing, which I know seems really counterintuitive. But the thing is, what's going on here is you have a relationship and one of the people in the relationship isn't happy. That happens in monogamy too. I mean, I hear.
Yeah, the rumor is, right? Well, let's take a look at your next question. How can you manage a situation where one partner has partners while the other one doesn't? What's to manage? Just inherent because somebody has one partner and another one doesn't. There's no inherent problem there. Partners do often create problems, but then you have to look at the specific reasons why they're creating problems. If the partner who does not have any partners is feeling envious and jealous, you look to try to provide security for them. If the partner who does have partners is feeling overtaxed and stretched, man, like everybody's pulling them too many directions and nobody else has another distraction. I need them to have another distraction so they stop pulling me in other directions. Then the partner who has multiple partners needs to etch time out for themselves and to give them time when they're not feeling stressed and pulled. See? So the problems are not inherent in the situation. You can't know what it is, if it's one of those two things or if it's any one of a number of others that you could make up within that universe of possibilities. But there's nothing inherent that's to be managed when one partner has partners and the other doesn't.
Yeah, I think what you're struggling with here is that one partner is unhappy with the results of dating. I know that never happens. And another partner is relatively happy with the results of dating. And if you think this is an issue with poly, think back to monogamy. What happens when one partner has more friends than another partner? What happens when one partner has 3 kids and one has no kids or 1 kid? What about when one has hobbies and the other one doesn't? It's a relationship issue. It's not necessarily a poly issue, which again, I know sounds counterintuitive because you're talking about dating multiple people.
Now, I promise you, I will get to something useful, but let's keep looking at your questions here just to tease out this thought and because I like the sound of my own voice. The next question was, are there any resources I could show her, anything that I could tell her to help her in this frustrating situation? Believe me, there's a universe of poly resources out there. And I'm sure if you did a Google search for what if one partner has one partner and there's no, you'll find something. But here's the rub. It's the specifics of what's going on in her that matter. And from the clues that we get here, my guess is the real problem is not that you have one partner and she has no partners. The problem is that she's not been able to find what she's looking for through dating. And when that's true for anybody, when you don't find what you're looking for, the answer is always the same. Refine your search, continue searching, or give up on what you're looking for. That's what you do.
I'm not sure I actually agree with that one. Look at that. I do agree that the issue is not being able to find what you're looking for in dating. It sounds like maybe she's one of the many people who thought she was looking for something, found it through dating, and then decided, you know what, that's actually not really what I wanted. I'm not getting that. And she's shifting what she wants, which is totally normal. I'm not sure that refining the search helps. I think it's a time to look inside of her and do some questioning about what she really wants to be happy.
Well, I listed that as only one of possible options, right? I'm not saying that you have to do all three. In fact, they're kind of mutually conflicting. I agree you need to re-examine what you want. You may need to redefine the search and you may need to give up on the search. But I'm not saying you need to do all three of those. I'm just saying those are one of those 3 things.
Okay. I'm on board with that. I think it is a great time for self-reflection and to figure out what she loves about her existing relationship with you and about what she needs in order to continue to be happy in her life in general. And maybe she doesn't need a date. Maybe she just needs a hobby or something else that's fulfilling. It may not even be that dating is the answer, but it's a great time for self-reflection.
Now, I also want to take a moment here and point out that we are really reading the tea leaves here when we talk about S's situation. S has not written this letter. You have, S, and we're only kind of deriving what we think might be true based on your filtered vision of S. So I have very low confidence in that. But what I do have confidence in, and that will circle around to where we can start getting helpful for you. What you need to do is sit down and talk with S and ask S to get very specific with you about their needs from you and how you can be supportive. You can't be supportive by adopting a relationship style that doesn't work for you. It's not gonna fly. As you see, you don't want to give up on your partner whose initial, I have forgotten, T, thank you.
T.
You don't want to give up on T right now, right? If S were to say to you, I want you to stop seeing T, at the very least, from what I'm sensing in your letter, is you have a big reservation about that and you might just say no.
Or if you did opt to give up T, it might be the death of your existing relationship, because being forced to give up someone you love and care about is not a good basis for building and supporting another relationship. It tends to breed resentment.
Exactly. So don't confuse yourself by trying to squeeze your non-monogamous peg into a monogamous hole. That is not providing support for S. If you want to supply support for S, the best method to do so is to help them sit down and figure out exactly what it is that they want and to get it. And by the way, it could be at the end of the day, S really does want a monogamous relationship. And then you got some thinking to do. But that's different from being unhappy with the current attempts at non-monogamy. Two different things.
Very well said, lustyguy. I'll just throw in at the end, keep in mind that as you negotiate your future relationships don't have to be, quote, equal. Like it's not, I date one person, you date one person. If I date two, you have to date two. They only need to be fair, and they need to fill the needs of the people in them. Maybe lustyguy needs 16 partners, and I just need one. If he gets 16 and I get one, that's fair to us because our needs are being filled. So your polyamory shouldn't be contingent upon your partner having a certain number of relationships and partners. As I point out to people all the time, I have one romantic relationship right now. That's lustyguy. I joke that my other relationship is my job, but I am perfectly happy. It doesn't matter to me how many partners he has because I am happy and fulfilled in this one.
And I am pretty needy, you know. I take a lot.
It's true. And I'll throw in again, our relationship ruler is your relationship making you and your partner happier and healthier versions of yourselves. If not, then work on the relationship, not try to set rules to limit other people's partners. And also you get to decide who you date and how you date them. And she does too. If she decides she wants to date one person and that one person is you or is not you, she gets to decide that. She doesn't get to say who you date. Although she could certainly establish a boundary that if you date other people, she wouldn't be with you. But it works both ways. You get to decide that too. I'll put in a link to the Relationship Bill of Rights.
Got something to say about anything you've heard on the show? Well, join our online community on Facebook at facebook.com/polyweekly or Twitter at polyweekly or at Cunning Minx.
It's time for your Happy Poly Moment of the Week, brought to you by Fubbly polyamorists everywhere.
Our Happy Poly Moment this week is from C, who says, my husband and I are in our early 30s and have been together for 8 years, 5 of them married. A year into our marriage, we half opened the relationship, meaning I've been dating women since I'm bi, but he didn't want to date other women and he had a problem with me dating men. But since I had to move to the other side of the world for work 6 months this year, we decided to give the completely open relationship a try, and it's worked surprisingly well. I've been back home with him for a few months now and have been dating a new guy with whom I've grown quite attached. Last Friday, 2 months after our first date, my new partner introduced me to his friends and his girlfriend, and I spent the night at his place for the first time. I felt welcomed into the group, and it was overall a fun night. When I got back home the day after, my husband greeted me with a smile and a warm meal he had just cooked for us. Happiness took over me instantly, and I'm still so very, very grateful to share this wonderful experience with my two partners. Hope I can spread the joy and the hope that non-monogamous relationships can work, even if TV and media don't exactly portray these stories. Thanks so much for your great podcast.
Very nice.
Well, I think that wraps it up for this week's show. You want to do the outro, lustyguy?
Absolutely. Thanks to our Polyweekly Playmates for their generous donations this week. Polyweekly is a free resource that has helped hundreds of thousands of people navigate their introduction to and continued success with polyamory. These donations keep the podcast free for everyone, both inside and outside the community. And thank you very much for them.
Thanks for listening. And remember, it's not all about the sex.